be invited here today. I am not a stranger to Wyoming or to Laramie, so I feel about as much at home here as almost any place. I'm a bit of a nomad, but I want to tell you a little bit about my art and my writing and my life here in the year 1928. As I said, I'm a nomad and I don't exactly know where my home is, but officially it's New York City. But I haven't been back there for almost a year because, you see, last fall, the autumn of 1927, I was evicted from my apartment there, number 5 Bank Street. They're building some kind of new glass and steel monstrosity there. I felt like a turtle losing its shell. But at any rate, because of that, it seemed like a good time to go back to Red Cloud, Nebraska, where my family lives. And looking back on it now, I'm really rather glad that I did lose my apartment when I did, because it gave me time to spend with my father, Charles Cather. He had been having some serious heart problems, but he seemed to perk up quite a bit when I got home. And in fact, he was well enough to drive me around Webster County in his new automobile so that we could visit our old favorite haunts and the dear familiar families that I have grown up with. Some of those families are really quite extraordinary, and they have produced some fine artists and musicians. Families with names like Turek and LeBeau and Sorensen. The Scandinavians and the Bohemians and the French, who have added so much flavor and so much zest to the life in south central Nebraska. Of course, not all of those families are quite so extraordinary. Father always liked to remind me of Ondrak, the Czechoslovakian who painted a mural behind the altar, little Danish church there. Father always said that Christ's halo looked like a ring of cheese. And then along came a tornado and destroyed that church, and poor Ondrak ran down the street crying, "My Jesus, my Jesus, blown all to hell." Well, at any rate, the time Father and I had together was a gift. Oh, you would have loved him. Everybody did. He was the dearest and the gentlest of men. When we lived back in Virginia, he used to make shoes for the sheepdogs so they wouldn't cut their feet on the stony ground. He died this past February, and well, I've been told I've not been behaving myself very well ever since. But you see, everybody keeps telling me, well, he was over 80 years old, had a full, rich life. You're lucky to have had a father for such a long time. I know it. I know that, but I don't have to accept it. And it isn't just the grief for father either. It's change. It's time passing. I'm angry that time can put an end to everything that we love. And I suppose I feel a little bit guilty where Father's concerned too. He always wanted me to stay there in Nebraska to do my writing, and I never could, and he didn't understand. Now Mother did. You might not expect that because, well, Mother and I have never gotten along especially well. We're just too much alike. A couple of strong-minded women who want their own way. very gracious lady. She has always been so beautifully groomed in spite of 7 children to rear. None of us would ever see her in the morning till after she'd pinned up her hair. Parasols to match her outfits, fresh violets whenever she could manage it, which isn't so easy to do in the middle of Nebraska. Of course, she's always deplored my dreadful taste, my savage love of color, she calls it. She's the one who picked out this droopy little frock for me to wear to come and talk to you. She also ordered me to take the cherries off my hat. But you know, when you get to be my age, you don't have to do everything your mother tells you. Well, I know, too, that Red Cloud people thought that Mother was a little bit too proud, too standoffish. But she was really just being herself. She was being an elegant Southern gentlewoman. For her, the move to Nebraska might as well have been to the moon. Well, for me, too. I was 9 years old when we moved from Virginia. I was little and homesick and lonely. Mother was homesick. Nobody paid any attention to us. So I decided, well, I'd better adjust. So the country and I and my pony, we headed out together. And of course the country won. By the end of that first autumn, that shaggy grassland had gripped me with a passion that I had never been able to shake. Even now, when I cross the Missouri coming into Nebraska, the very smell of the soil tears me to pieces. I can't decide which is the real, which is the fake me, the writer or the girl from Red Cloud. There have been times I just wanted to throw away all this writing business, settle down on a quarter section of land. Well, of course I can't, and I won't. I'm a writer, and I cannot write there. But still, my deepest affections are not for the other people, the other places I've been writing about. I love the country where I was a kid, where they still call me Willie. Not always with a whole lot of affection on their part, I might say. You see, proper mamas never wanted their proper little girls to play with Willie Cather. Proper little girls were supposed to sit quietly and practice their patting or their crocheting. Oh, what agony! I'd be down on the banks of the Republican River with the boys, fishing or building rafts. I didn't have any ambitions to write either when I was a kid. I wanted to be a surgeon. Now that all started about the time Mother was so sick she couldn't fuss with my hair. So I marched down to the barber, had my hair all chopped off short. Then I tried to dress as much like a boy as I could. Dr. McKeeby and Dr. Damerel, they were my heroes, and I suppose I pestered them unmercifully with questions and offers of help. I think the very highlight of my whole childhood was the day when Dr. Damerel had to amputate a boy's leg, and he let me administer the chloroform. Oh, the joys of amputation. No. But I pestered my friends too.